You walk into a room and nobody notices. You speak and people talk over you. You have good ideas, but nobody takes them seriously. It's not about your intelligence. It's not about your competence. It's about respect. And respect isn't earned slowly over years through hard work. That's the lie they tell you to keep you grinding, while others who understand psychology get respect immediately. There are people who command attention the moment they enter a space. When they speak, others go quiet. When they make a decision, people follow. They're not necessarily smarter, more successful, or more experienced than you. But they understand something you don't. They know the psychological triggers that create instant respect, and they deploy them consistently without you even noticing. These aren't personality traits you're born with. These are learned behaviors backed by decades of psychological research. Studies from social psychology, behavioral economics, and neuroscience have identified specific actions that trigger immediate respect responses in human brains. And the best part, you can start using them in your next conversation, not next month, not next year, today. I'm going to reveal 7 psychology tricks that make people respect you instantly. These aren't manipulations. These are strategic behaviors that align with how human psychology actually works. You're not tricking people. You're communicating in a language their subconscious already understands and responds to. By the end of this video, you'll have specific tactical moves you can deploy immediately that will shift how people treat you. This works in job interviews, business meetings, social situations, romantic contexts, and family dynamics. Anywhere human beings interact, these psychological principles operate. Let's dive in. Before we get into the 7 tricks, understand what respect actually means psychologically. Respect is an automatic response where someone perceives you as high value and adjusts their behavior accordingly. It's not the same as being liked. You can be liked and still have people disregard your opinions. Respect means people give weight to what you say, consider your perspective, and think twice before challenging you. Research from Stanford and Harvard shows that respect is granted based on competence signals and status cues that happen within the first 7 seconds of interaction. Your brain is scanning everyone you meet for signals of dominance, capability, and social value, and their brain is scanning you the same way. This happens unconsciously and instantly. The person who displays more respect-worthy signals gets treated with more respect, not eventually, immediately. The good news is that these signals can be learned and deployed intentionally. You don't need to change your personality. You need to change specific behaviors. Small adjustments in how you carry yourself, how you speak, and how you respond create massive differences in how others perceive and treat you. This isn't theory. This is applied behavioral psychology that you can test in real time. Before we continue, if you want to understand the psychology of influence, power dynamics, and social strategy, subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. I break down behavioral science, social psychology, and tactical communication every week. And leave a comment telling me which situation you need more respect in most. I want to know what you're dealing with. This community learns by sharing real challenges. Now let's reveal the 7 psychology tricks that make people respect you instantly. The first trick is strategic silence. This is counterintuitive because most people think talking more makes them more impressive. Research from Princeton and the University of Michigan shows the opposite. People who speak less but make every word count are perceived as more intelligent, more confident, and higher status than people who fill every silence with words. Here's the psychology. When you're constantly talking, you signal neediness. You're filling silence because silence makes you uncomfortable. You need validation through verbal engagement. High-status people are comfortable with silence. They speak when they have something valuable to say. They don't fear gaps in conversation. This comfort with silence signals confidence and self-sufficiency. Watch high-level executives in meetings. They don't dominate the conversation. They listen, they observe. Then they speak once and everyone pays attention because they've been quiet. Their words carry weight precisely because they're selective about when they use them. Compare this to the person who comments on everything. Their constant input becomes background noise. Even when they say something valuable, it gets lost in the volume of their output. Here's how to use strategic silence immediately. In your next conversation or meeting, resist the urge to fill every silence. When someone finishes speaking, pause for 2 seconds before responding. This does 3 things. It shows you're actually thinking about what they said instead of just waiting to talk. It creates anticipation for your response, and it signals you're not desperate to be heard. That 2-second pause will immediately shift how people receive your words. Also, when someone asks your opinion, don't rush to answer. Take a visible moment to consider, then give a concise, thoughtful response. This pattern of pause, consider, and concise response makes everything you say seem more valuable. People start paying more attention when you speak because you've trained them that when you talk, it matters. Strategic silence isn't about being quiet. It's about making your words rare enough that they become valuable. The second trick is controlled emotional display. Research from Yale and UC Berkeley shows that people who maintain calm under pressure are instantly perceived as leaders and given more respect than those who react emotionally. This doesn't mean being emotionless. It means choosing when and how you display emotion rather than reacting automatically. Here's the psychology. When someone reacts emotionally to provocation or stress, they signal that external circumstances control them. When someone remains calm under the same circumstances, they signal internal locus of control. They're choosing their response rather than being controlled by stimulus. That self-control, instantly read as strength and competence. Think about a crisis at work. 2 people are present. One panics, raises their voice, shows visible stress. The other stays calm, speaks steadily, focuses on solutions. Who do people look to for leadership? The calm one. Every time, not because they're more capable necessarily, but because their emotional control signals capability. Our brains are wired to follow people who appear stable when things are unstable. Here's how to use controlled emotional display immediately. Next time someone provokes you, challenges you, or tries to get an emotional reaction, pause. Take a breath. Respond in a measured tone, regardless of what you're feeling internally. You can feel angry or frustrated. You just don't show it in the moment. This pause between stimulus and response completely changes the power dynamic. The person trying to provoke you wanted a reaction. When you don't give it, you've demonstrated that you can't be controlled. That demonstration of self-control creates instant respect. They realize their tactics don't work on you. They subconsciously recategorize you as higher status. Also, when something good happens, don't over-celebrate publicly. Show appreciation but maintain composure. The person who stays leveled during both stress and success appears most in control. And control, what generates respect. The third trick is confident body language. This is the most researched area in social psychology. Studies from Harvard, Columbia, and dozens of other institutions confirm that body language creates immediate status perception. Before you speak a word, your posture, eye contact, and movement have already told people whether to respect you or dismiss you. Here's the psychology. Humans evolved in hierarchical social groups. We needed to quickly identify who had high status to know how to interact with them. Physical dominance was the original signal, so our brains still use physical cues to assess status. People who take up space, move deliberately, and maintain steady eye contact trigger automatic respect responses. People who make themselves small, move nervously, and avoid eye contact trigger dismissal responses. Amy Cuddy's research at Harvard showed that power posing for 2 minutes before a high-stakes situation increases testosterone and decreases cortisol, making you actually feel more confident. But even more importantly, other people perceive you as more confident and competent when you display expansive rather than contractive body language. This isn't about being aggressive. It's about being grounded and present. Here's how to use confident body language immediately. Stand or sit with your spine straight. Don't slouch. Don't lean back trying to appear relaxed. Grounded and upright. Keep your shoulders back and down. Take up the space you're entitled to. Don't cross your arms unless you're deliberately creating a barrier. Keep your hands visible and use purposeful gestures when you speak. Make eye contact when speaking and when listening, not staring. Just steady, comfortable eye contact that shows you're engaged and unafraid. Move deliberately, fast. Nervous movements signal anxiety. Slow, purposeful movements signal control. When you need to gesture, do it with intention. When you walk, walk with purpose. Every physical behavior is being read by everyone around you as a status signal. The person who controls their body language controls how others perceive them. Practice this for one day and watch how differently people respond to you. The fourth trick is the power of saying no. Research from Stanford and Columbia shows that people who can say no are perceived as higher status and more respectable than people who always say yes. This seems backwards because we're taught that being helpful builds relationships. It does build likability. It doesn't build respect. Here's the psychology. When you always say yes, you signal that your time and energy are not valuable. You're available to everyone for everything, which means you're not in demand. High-value people have scarce time. They say no frequently because they have priorities and boundaries. When they do say yes, it means something because it's selective. Think about the person at work who agrees to every request. They're on every committee. They help with every project. They never turn anyone down. Are they respected? No, they're used. People like them because they're convenient. But they don't respect them because constant availability signals low value. Now think about the person who says no to most requests but occasionally says yes to the right ones. When they commit, people pay attention because their commitment is rare and therefore valuable. Here's how to use strategic no immediately. The next time someone asks you for something, don't automatically agree. Pause. Ask yourself if this serves your priorities. If it doesn't, say no. You don't need elaborate excuses. A simple statement works best. I can't take that on right now. I'm focused on other priorities. I'm not available for that. The directness signals that your time is valuable and you protect it. You'll notice something interesting. When you start saying no, people respect your yes more. The person who always agrees is taken for granted. The person who selectively agrees is valued. This doesn't mean be difficult for the sake of it. It means have actual boundaries and enforce them. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're telling everyone that your time has value. That message creates respect. The fifth trick is demonstrating competence before claiming it. Research from MIT and Princeton shows that people who prove capability through demonstration are respected significantly more than people who talk about their capabilities. This is the difference between showing and telling. Telling people you're competent makes them skeptical. Showing them makes them believers. Here's the psychology. Our brains are wired to trust evidence over claims. Anyone can claim to be good at something. Few people can actually demonstrate it under observation. When you demonstrate competence, you're providing evidence that bypasses skepticism. The observer's brain says this person can actually do what they claim. That verification creates immediate respect. Think about the people joining a project team. Person A talks about their experience, lists their credentials, explains why they're qualified. Person B says little about their background but immediately starts contributing valuable insights and solving problems. Who gets more respect? Person B always, because demonstration is proof and proof is respected. Here's how to use demonstrated competence immediately. In your next meeting or interaction, resist the urge to establish credibility through your background. Instead, contribute something valuable. Ask a question that reveals depth of understanding. Offer a solution that shows you've thought through the problem. Make an observation that adds genuine value. Let your contributions speak for your competence. This also means being willing to say, "I don't know," when you don't know something. People respect intellectual honesty. The person who pretends to know everything loses respect when they're eventually wrong. The person who admits gaps in knowledge but demonstrates competence in their actual areas of expertise maintains respect. Demonstrate what you know through contribution. Admit what you don't know through honesty. That combination builds credibility that talking about yourself never can. The sixth trick is controlled agreement. This is subtle but powerful. Research from Yale and the University of Pennsylvania shows that people who disagree strategically are perceived as more intelligent and independent than people who always agree. This doesn't mean being contrarian. It means having your own perspective and expressing it thoughtfully. Here's the psychology. When you agree with everything, you signal that you're a follower without independent judgment. You're seeking approval by mirroring others' opinions. High-status people have their own views. They agree when something aligns with their thinking. They disagree when it doesn't. This independence of thought is respected even when people don't like the disagreement. Think about meetings where everyone nods along with the boss. Then one person respectfully challenges an assumption or offers a different perspective. Who stands out? The person who disagreed. They've demonstrated independent thinking. Even if their point isn't adopted, they're now seen as someone with genuine perspective rather than just an agreeable presence. Here's how to use controlled agreement immediately. When someone presents an idea, don't automatically agree even if you generally support it. Find one aspect to question or one angle to explore differently. Frame it as building on their idea. "I think that approach makes sense. I'm wondering how we might address this other consideration." You've agreed on the core but introduced your own thinking. This pattern shows you're engaged and analytical rather than just compliant. Also, when you do agree, explain why rather than just saying you agree. That's a solid approach because it addresses the key constraint and positions us well for the next phase. Now your agreement carries weight because it's reasoned, not reflexive. The person who agrees thoughtfully after considering alternatives is respected. The person who agrees immediately without thought is dismissed as a yes person. The seventh trick is giving credit strategically. This final trick is counterintuitive. Research from Stanford and Horton shows that people who give credit to others are perceived as more confident and higher status than people who take all the credit. This seems backwards because we think taking credit builds our reputation. It actually does the opposite. Here's the psychology. When you're secure in your value, you can afford to acknowledge others' contributions. When you're insecure, you hoard credit because you need it for validation. Observers pick up on this. The person who shares credit appears confident and secure. The person who takes all credit appears insecure and threatened. Confidence is respected. Insecurity is not. Think about a successful project. The leader who says this was a team effort and specifically names key contributors is seen as strong enough to share credit. The leader who says "I accomplished this" and talks only about their role is seen as insecure and potentially dishonest since everyone knows projects are collaborative. The first leader gets more respect for their success than the second, even though they're sharing credit. Here's how to use strategic credit giving immediately. The next time you're in a situation to take credit for success, acknowledge others first. This worked because Sarah identified the key issue early and Mike found the creative solution. I was able to coordinate those pieces into the final result. You've given specific credit where it's due while still acknowledging your role. This makes you look secure, honest, and leadership capable. Also, when you make a mistake, take responsibility clearly without deflecting to circumstances or others. That didn't work and I'm accountable for that decision. No excuses, no blame spreading, just ownership. This level of accountability is rare and therefore respected. The person who owns mistakes and shares credit for successes demonstrates the confidence that generates respect. These are the 7 psychology tricks that make people respect you instantly. Strategic silence makes your words valuable. Controlled emotional display signals strength and stability. Confident body language triggers automatic status perception. The power of saying no demonstrates that your time has value. Demonstrating competence provides proof instead of claims. Controlled agreement shows independent thinking. Giving credit strategically signals confidence and security. Here's what you need to understand. These tricks work not because they're manipulative, but because they align with how human psychology actually assesses status and competence. You're not fooling anyone. You're communicating clearly in the language of respect that humans have evolved to understand. Every one of these behaviors sends a signal. Collectively, those signals tell people you're someone worth respecting. The beauty of these techniques is they work immediately. You don't need to slowly build respect over months. You can walk into your next interaction, deploy these behaviors, and watch the dynamic shift in real time. People will treat you differently. They won't know why. They'll thus feel that you're someone who should be taken seriously. Start with the trick that feels most natural to you. Maybe it's strategic silence if you tend to talk too much. Maybe it's saying no if you tend to overcommit. Maybe it's controlled emotional display if you tend to react strongly. Pick one. Practice it consciously for 1 week. Notice how people respond differently to you, then add a second trick, then a third. Within a month, you'll have internalized all 7 and they'll be automatic. These behaviors will become who you are, not just what you do. And as they become automatic, the respect you receive will become automatic too. You'll stop being the person people talk over and become the person people listen to. You'll stop being dismissed and start being taken seriously, not because you became a different person, because you learned to communicate respect-worthy signals that were always available to you. That's the power of understanding psychology. You're not changing reality, you're changing how you show up in reality. And how you show up determines how others respond. Master these 7 tricks, deploy them consistently, and watch how quickly your social dynamics transform. The respect you've been working years to earn can be triggered instantly once you understand the psychology behind it. See you in the next one.